2-3 gece.
Okay, so what do you think? Are they going to finish it in 2026 after what you've seen and heard? Are you a bit more optimistic or still not very much? Well, again, they want to finish it in 2026 because the architect died in 1926. Gaudi died at the age of 74, and he died because of an accident. He was crossing a street not far from where we are now, and he was run over by the tram. He was hit by the tramway, and when he had the accident, no one recognized him. He was mistaken for a beggar because of the way he looked. Gaudi was very famous, but as he would never appear in public, people didn't know the way he looked. And he used to look a bit scruffy. And that's why he was mistaken for a beggar. And he was left unconscious on the road for nearly 2 hours. And eventually, someone decided to take that poor man that was lying on the road to a poor people's hospital, where he died 3 days after the accident. Gaudi was a single man. He never got married. He actually proposed twice to the same lady, and she said no twice. She turned him down twice. She married 3 other men instead of Gaudi, one after the other, of course. And so no wife, no children, no family. All his brothers and sister and niece, all the family members died before him. He was the last family member. Today we haven't got any Gaudi family members. And before dying he had made a will, and he wanted all his money to be used for the building of the Sagrada Familia. That's what they did. And well, earlier on I said that some of Gaudi's plans for the church got lost during the war. What happened was that at the beginning of the Spanish Civil War in 1936, the anarchists went to the Sagrada Familia and set fire to the workshop where they were keeping all Gaudi's plans. But luckily, Gaudi used to make plaster models because his project was so complex that it was very difficult to be shown on paper. And he always had the need to see things in 3D. And that's why he was making plaster models more than writing things on paper. And plaster doesn't burn as easily as paper. And after the fire, those who had worked closely with him, that knew the project very well, collected the pieces of the models, left and made reconstructions. By the way, there we have again Casa Patio on the left-hand side in front of us. We are crossing the Paseo de Gracia, there's Gaudi's house. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a red brick building with a messy wire at the top. That wire is a piece of artwork, that's a sculpture. That building now is housing a contemporary art museum called Fundación Tapias, dedicated to Antoni Tapias, which is one of our local artists, who passed away about 5 or 6 years ago. He used to do abstract art. Now Jesus is turning left. We are driving in this neighborhood called Eixample, which means the enlargement. This is Barcelona's extension. And the layout of this neighborhood is very rational. Most of the streets look very similar. Here we have a series of parallel and perpendicular streets creating a square grid. A grid of square blocks. But the housing blocks aren't exactly square. Instead of having 4 sides, they have 8 sides because the corners have been chopped off. If you look on the left, for example, here you can see the corners don't make a 90 degrees angle because they've been chopped off. They planned it this way because this way they could open bigger spaces to let the fresh air flow in a nicer way. Also for the apartments on the corners to get more daylight. And also because when they started building all this in the late 1800s, there were no traffic lights in the city. And it was very important to be able to see what was coming the other way to stop accidents. And by cutting the corners like that, the various means of transportation would have more visibility. And Barcelona didn't have a tram back then, but the engineer who planned all this thought that maybe one day in the future Barcelona would have a tram. And by cutting the corners like that, the trams could turn easier, right or left. Now we are about to join another street, the street that is coming from the right-hand side, and the name of this street is Pelayo. This is Pelai Street. This is famous for the shoe shops. The locals, when we're after shoes, we tend to come here. It's full of shoe shops. And in front of us, on the right-hand side, we have the top of the very famous Ramblas. The Ramblas, the busiest street we have in Barcelona. It's very, very popular. We say it in plural, but it's only one street. It's not different street, but just one street, a mile-long street that goes from here, from in front of us on the right, all the way down to the port, where we have the statue of Christopher Columbus. In the past, this was a riverbed, like a seasonal stream, taking the water from the hills that are on the left-hand side, all the way to the sea that's on the right. Look, there we have the Ramblas on the right-hand side. It's always busy. Halfway down the Ramblas, on the right-hand side, there is a very famous food market called Boqueria. Boqueria. It's very colorful. It's full of people always as well, but a very nice one, full of fresh food. And here we are back in Plaça Catalunya.